If you could press a button and go back 30 years, when newspapers were earning 30% margins, they could afford big staffs, investigative units, were large, well-funded, or stay here where your staffs are smaller, resources are fewer, but you have all the technological tools that are now at our disposal that we couldn't even imagine 30 years ago. Would you press the button? Mike, you want to take that first?
I would not. First of all, I can't, but even pretend
you wouldn't
I
go
could.
back.
But I wouldn't, and here's why I wouldn't go back. There was great journalism produced 30 years ago, but there was also a lot of crap produced 30 years ago. And the truth is that the old business model allowed us to get away with murder. It wasn't our journalism that was selling those newspapers. It was the comics and the ads and the sports section. God bless sports. I'm a big sports fan. And we're in a different world now where actually each piece of journalism stands much more on its own than it used to. And that's been pretty painful, and it's been pretty difficult. But I think in the long run, it's making us all a lot better. I think it's already better, and I think it's going to get a lot better. So I say forward.
Phil, button?
I used to refer to old journalism as the higher calling disease, because we all felt we had a higher calling, and we didn't really want to get involved with that icky, messy public thing. So, the apocryphal story I tell is the reporter who's, busy working on his or her story, and someone says, hey, there's a reader on the line. It's like, I'm too busy doing journalism to talk to a reader. That, of course, never happened, but I imagined it happening day in and day out 30 years ago, because we didn't really need to care. As Mike said, we didn't really need to care. And so suddenly we now are forced to, because the public has the tools to interject itself in everything that we do. And if we don't get ahead of that and use that as leverage to do what we do, I think we're making a mistake. So what the last 30 years has forced us to do is understand that there's an audience out there. We don't know the extent of the audience, but we know it's probably bigger than the one we have. And we have to figure out a way to reach them, and they're going to reach us. And so I think paying attention to the public has been the value of the last painful 30 years.
Keith should disqualify himself from answering the question because he has a time machine and he frequently goes back 30 years ago. He doesn't need the button, but I'll let him.
No way in hell do we want to go back. Are you kidding? I mean, I can't imagine that there is more great investigative reporting happening now than there was 30 years ago. I mean, I can't believe we would even consider that. This is a golden age. There are more outlets, there are more voices, there are more people. It's not in the places that we saw it 30 years ago. And I think we sometimes confuse, because it wasn't happening in the same places, it wasn't happening. But there's more going on now, and it's only going to get better.